shot the show on a soundstage in Hollywood.
Uh-huh. So how's Greg?
So if you're in the mood for a trip down memory lane, come aboard. The Travel Channel's got the real locations of all your favorite TV shows. Take a TV road trip, coming up next, only on the Travel Channel.
Tonight, it's every TV lover's dream come true.
No, I don't believe it.
As we take a TV road trip to the places you know from your favorite shows.
It was my dream to visit this place.
See Mr. Rourke's Fantasy Island.
He plays! He plays!
And the home of Happy Days. Plus, say hello to your favorite stars.
Coming to get you, JR.
Saddle up with the scheming Cliff Barnes at South Fork in Dallas. Peter Brady takes us back to the Brady Bunch house.
And this is where I grew up.
Batman reveals the location of the top-secret Bat Cave.
There is a Bat Cave that we used in Bronson Canyon.
TV's original Lois Lane returns to Metropolis.
I think you're the greatest. I love you.
And hitch a ride with Goober to the town that inspired Mayberry.
You all didn't forget, did you?
Plus, little Erin is all grown up, and she takes us back to the real Waltons Mountain.
We know who you are. You are our dream. We watched you forever.
And hang on.
Hey, y'all, how you doing?
Because Cooter remembers the good old days down in Hazzard County with Daisy Duke.
And it's where Daisy Duke worked.
Plus, find out how you can visit locations from your favorite shows like MASH, Bonanza, and Friends.
Cheapest, I'll go along with that. Good.
So sit back and enjoy the ride on TV Road Trip. That was me 25 years ago when we were right here on this spot filming the opening to Three's Company. Hi, everyone. I'm John Ritter. And tonight, we're going to start right here at Venice Beach, California, and travel all across America on a journey you'll never forget. During the next 2 hours, we're going to the Ponderosa Ranch, Mayberry, Metropolis, Waltons Mountain, and more. All sights from your favorite shows. So, hop in. We've got a lot of ground to cover. Hang on. Excuse me. This just in. We interrupt this program for a special bulletin.
Emergency. Batman speaking. Warning all of you to brace yourselves for big news.
In January of 1966, a television icon was born when Batman hit the airwaves twice a week in full bat color. In fact, the Caped Crusader conquered the silver screen as well. This is the movie trailer from the original Batman film made the same year that the TV series premiered.
I read the pilot script, and it was so fresh and innovative and the funniest thing I ever read at the time.
According to TV's Batman Adam West, it's no secret why the Caped Crusader was so hot.
I prefer to think it was my legs.
To the surprise of network executives, Batman was a smash hit with adults and kids alike.
It worked on several levels. The kids would find it exciting and colorful, and they'd all be playing Batman and Robin. And the adults very quickly caught on to the theater of the absurd.
Their minimum objective must be the entire world.
For 3 seasons, the campy crime-fighting duo of Batman and Robin battled a colorful collection of dastardly villains on the streets of Gotham City.
You're going to see the perfect crime when I get Batman in my claws.
We couldn't find Gotham City on our map, but we did uncover some of the secret locations in Los Angeles where the show was actually filmed. First stop, stately Wayne Manor.
That wonderful house, Wayne Manor, is in Pasadena. That's where we shot the exterior of Wayne Manor. Then we recreated the interiors on the stage, of course.
But hold on. We looked all over this upscale LA suburb, but we still couldn't find the mysterious Bat Cave.
Where was the Bat Cave? Is it all right? It was under Wayne Manor. There is a Bat Cave that we used in Bronson Canyon, a real cave.
The entrance to the Bat Cave that you remember from the show is right under the Hollywood sign, 11 miles from Wayne Manor. This cave has also been used as an exterior in countless TV shows and classic movies, including The Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
As I recall, it was not very attractive. It was like a big rock pile with some scrub brush around it.
And where did they shoot the inside of the Bat Cave?
Our immense Bat Cave that we used mostly was on the stage. Fox had leased stages in Culver City at the old RKO studios, and we opened the doors between two huge stages and built a Bat Cave there.
The Bronson Canyon location looks pretty much as it did when the Batmobile first peeled out 35 years ago. But what's this? Holy hot rod, it's George Barris, creator of the Batmobile.
Batmobile made its grand entrance here 100 times. But if you want to see it now, follow me.
Over in the San Fernando Valley, just a few blocks from Universal Studios, and behind the doors of this unassuming auto body shop is none other than the other star of the show, the original 1966 Batmobile.
Occasionally I come to visit the Batmobile. It's just a sentimental thing. It's here in mothballs in case you need it.
Although the Batmobile is kept under lock and key, it's still equipped with the ultimate in crime-fighting gadgets, ready for any bat emergencies that may arise.
We had the first car telephone. Oh, it's my agent. Yes, Max Pizzazz, Hollywood know-it-all agent. I do? Really? From Warner's and DC, a bonus? Thanks, Fred.
Incredibly, George transformed a used Lincoln convertible into the Batmobile in only 3 weeks and on a budget of $15,000. This movie footage was shot by George in 1966. Here we see the Batmobile's first screen test and its initial run both on the road and at the Batcave.
We showed that the Batmobile could jump, it could spin out, it could do 360 turns, it could do these many things, and it acted. It did things. It had voice, it had sounds, it had different figures. So we have a star in a car, too.
George also built a Bat boat and a Bat copter for the series. You can find the Bat Cycle on display at the Guinness Museum in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Although it's been 35 years since he first donned the famous cape and cowl, Adam says Batman is one of his favorite characters.
I found Batman as a character kind of fascinating. I, as an actor, pull on that cowl and instantly became a child again. Out there like some of you guys with a blue bath towel. You know, playing Batman.
But for Adam, making his debut as the Cape Crusader wasn't easy.
It took me 2 days to come out of my dressing room, and I thought they'd be laughing and tittering and making snide remarks. When I walked out and hit the stage and started to walk across in character, everybody was like a little kid. They all believed. And when I sensed that, you know, as actors do from the audience or whatever, I kind of knew I was halfway home.
Once the dynamic duo was a hit, the biggest stars in the business lined up for guest appearances.
We had over 150 enormous talents. I mean, top stars do the show.
There are 2 eggs this wily bird is going to scramble, Batman and Robin. Who's going to make the feathers fly and knock Batman and Robin out of the sky? Have you heard this one? It'll kill you, Batman.
Shelley Winters to Roddy McDowell to Sinatra wanted to do the show. Jerry Lewis did the show.
35 years after its debut, Batman remains a fixture in American pop culture.
I guess it's become a TV classic. I'm just a very lucky actor to have been part of it.
But wait, will Hollywood agent Max Pizzazz get Adam West the bonus he so richly deserves? Will George Barris be fined for loitering in Bronson Cave?
Brace yourself, Robin. This could be the end.
Find out next time, same bat time, same bat channel. If you can't get your hands on the Batmobile, then a 1958 Ford Fairlane isn't a bad way to travel. Listen, if you're going to revisit classic shows, you need a classic car. Stay with us. We've got a lot more surprises coming up. Just ahead on TV Road Trip, it's a dad, it's a mom, it's Super Family.
We all came from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Super fans rejoice when TV's original Lois Lane travels to Metropolis.
The things I can walk into with my eyes wide open.
And George Lindsay pays a surprise visit to the town that started it all.
Hey everybody, it's me, Goober, and I'm going to the original Mayberry on the Travel Channel. It's called TV Road Trip. Why don't you come and join me?
TV Road Trip. He was never supposed to.
This fishing hole? I'll give you a hint. Let's put it in black and white. If you said the Andy Griffith Show, you're absolutely right. But you'll be surprised to learn that this pond is not hidden away somewhere down south. It's right here in Los Angeles. They used it because it looks just like the one that's more than 2,000 miles away in Mount Airy, North Carolina. This is the hometown of actor Andy Griffith and the inspiration for Mayberry in his hit TV series. And guess who we've brought back to visit? It's Goober. George Lindsay played the affable gas station attendant on the classic series. He's agreed to tag along on our road trip to Mount Airy. And from the looks of things, the townsfolk are pleased to have him back.
Mount Airy is very gracious and a lot like we wanted the feel of Mayberry to be.
The Andy Griffith Show made its debut in 1960 and was among the top 10 rated television shows for the next 8 years. It focused on the daily life of a widowed small-town sheriff named Andy Taylor and his family and friends. The biggest crime Sheriff Taylor ever faced were catching jaywalkers and sobering up the town drunk. But this warm look at rural life struck a chord with viewers across the nation. And that's exactly why road trippers to Mount Airy will discover that many of the same hangouts that were duplicated on the show still exist, including Sheriff Taylor's favorite diner, the Snappy Lunch.
You all didn't forget, did you? Well, it's great to be here in Mount Airy, I'll tell you that. And at the Snappy Lunch, where the best breakfasts and pork chop sandwiches are made, right?
Even though it's been over 30 years since the show went off the air, Goober's more popular than ever.
Good to have you here, Goober.
Let me show you how to wear a cap.
Okay.
All right, this is off, this is on, and this is lock. Let's go back here and see Charlie.
Charlie Dowell is the owner of the Snappy Lunch. He's manned the griddle at this legendary spot for more than 50 years.
I always say this was the first fast food that was ever heard of because that's what it was. A lot of people think I'm snappy, or the business is snappy, but that's what it was, is make it snappy. That's where it's got its name.
Charlie's specialty is his famous pork chop sandwich. It was Andy's favorite meal when he was just a boy, and it was Sheriff Taylor's favorite meal on the show.
Just tell me how you make a pork chop sandwich.
Okay.
Charlie agreed to let us in on his secret recipe, so quick, grab a pad and pencil.
This is the pork chop.
Oh, yeah.
Dip it in batter.
After it's cooked a little bit, all right, put this in here. Put the mustard on first.
What's that?
This is chili.
Okay.
Slaw here on top of it. Sort of mash it down a little bit. A slice of tomato, and you put the cap on it.
That is a pork chop sandwich.
We're not sure what the American Heart Association thinks, but that looks mighty tasty.
You can say one thing about the food in the Snappy Lunch. Yay!
Less than a mile down the street from the diner is Goober's old place of employment, Wally's Service Station. Goober may have been a first-rate mechanic, but wait until you hear how George handles a breakdown.
I just buy a new car.
Besides Goober, the Andy Griffith Show gave rise to a number of other memorable characters.
It was the first show that gave the supporting actors storylines, and Andy was just like the straight man.
One of those supporting actors was a precocious little boy who got his big break working on the show.
I must tell you, working with Ron Howard, I've often said if I'd been nicer to that little red-headed boy today, I'd be a movie star.
Another favorite character was Andy's bumbling deputy, Barney Fife, played by Mr. Don Knotts, who carried around the same rusty bullet for 8 seasons. Fortunately, the police in Mount Airy are much better armed.
We change ours out about every 6 months.
Head on up Main Street and you'll find one of Barney's favorite places to pass the time, Floyd's Barber Shop.
You know, in the show, Floyd's Barber Shop was, as much as the sheriff's office, was probably the second best place to go in all of Mayberry.
George says it's hometown characters like those found at the real Floyd's that made the TV series feel so authentic.
But I must tell you that the genius behind the Griffith Show was, of course, Andy Griffith, and he knew when the scripts were right, and he knew when we were right on playing the parts. And I don't think we really played the parts. We were those people.
What is it that makes this place so special? Depends on who you ask. George Lindsay tried to put it into words in a poem he wrote many years ago.
Mayberry's going to church on Sunday, and then after church going to the drugstore for a cherry coke, sitting around the barber shop, listening to Fred and Spooky tell their corny jokes. It's book satchels and cloakrooms and notes from Mother when you're late to school. It's getting a basketball for Christmas and practicing the golden rule. It's everything and everybody, and when you talk about it, you get that very, very special itch. But the thing I like about Mayberry most of all, it made old Goober rich.
Stay with us. TV Road Trippers just getting revved up. We'll head to New York to track down locations from Friends, The Cosby Show, and Seinfeld.
But they all want to sit in the same seat that Jerry sat in. And of course, that's the number 7 table.
Plus,
Hi! How nice to see all of you.
the honeymooners Joyce Randolph reveals how sweet it was. And coming up next, my daddy might have done some drinking, but he sure as hell never stole from his friends. JR's nemesis, Cliff Barnes, has a score to settle when he returns to Dallas.
Come join me. I'm Ken Kirschwell. I'll show you the real South Fork.
TV Road Trip is brought to you by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Howdy, John Ritter here, and we're on TV Road Trip. You know what? I'm gonna take this off. Cowboy hats and convertibles just don't mix. Our next stop, Big D, little A, double L-A-S, Dallas. The town and the TV show. You ready for this? Here we go. Dallas. We love the scandal and the glamour, but most of all, the villainy.
And that's how you ought to honor that drunken bum of a daddy of yours.
My daddy might have done some drinking, but he sure as hell never stole from his friends.
Is that right?
We were obsessed with JR, Bobby, and Sue Ellen, the whole Ewing clan. And one reason these Texas troublemakers seem so real is that the actors shot the show on actual locations in Dallas every summer. Nobody stirred up more trouble than JR's nemesis, the conniving Cliff Barnes, played by veteran actor Ken Kirchhoff.
Coming to get you, JR.
So we've invited him back to the one place he's never been welcome, South Fork, the Ewing family ranch.
Old Cliffy is back. It was the old family feud between the Ewings and my family, the Barnes, who were in the right.
Yes, South Fork is a real place, and it's still here.
Do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But today there's a new twist in the plot because old Cliffy is being welcomed with open arms. South Fork sits on 340 acres, just 20 miles from the center of Dallas. During the filming, it was still a working ranch privately owned by the Duncan family. But today, it's a multi-million-dollar event and conference center, and one of the hottest tourist spots in Texas.
It was like a team, and it was a winning streak. And every week, they would have what the #1 show was. It was Dallas. It was Dallas.
Ken loved working on a hit show, even though his character was vilified by the Ewing family.
I was never really welcome at South Fork. The only time I came out here, I always wound up getting thrown in the pool. Damn, hate that pool.
All of the exteriors were filmed here. The pool, the barbecue scenes, the rodeo scenes, the driveway scenes, the breakfast scenes, all around that famous glass table, which is still here at South Fork today.
The set was closed during filming, but now visitors can freely stroll around the Ewing property as if it were their own. But today, these visitors have an even bigger surprise in store.
So welcome, Ken Kirchville, everybody.
Cliff may have been hated by the Ewings, but one thing's for sure. He's loved by TV fans from all over the world.
Everybody knows you. Where are you guys from? Ireland. From where? Ireland. Ireland? Be damned. From Minnesota? Boy, this is a far cry from Minnesota, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, right? We're from Taiwan.
From Taiwan?
Yes.
I bought a lot of things that were made in Taiwan.
At South Fork, it's as if the show has never ended.
We keep all of that very authentic, from the colors of the awnings to the roof line, everything, so people feel at home when they visit here.
JR had a pretty nice spread here. This sort of thing never really interested me. I just wanted to get revenge for my father. That's all I've got to say.
Cliff's need for revenge fueled some of the classic confrontations with the Ewings, like this one.
I think you gave that scholarship the wrong place.
Did I really?
Yeah, the proper recipient of a Digger Barnes Scholarship Award isn't a university. It's a neighborhood bar.
You shut the hell up.
And that's how you ought to honor that drunken bum of a daddy of yours.
My daddy might have done some drinking, but he sure as hell never stole from his friends.
Is that right?
But Cliff wasn't the only one who hated JR, which brings us to the most famous question in the history of television: who shot JR? Here's a little insider information from Ken. Even the actors didn't know who pulled the trigger.
This is the gun that shot JR. We all wanted to do it. We all had reason to do it. We all filmed a scene of us doing it. Myself, Miss Ellie, everybody. But who did it?
In case you don't remember who did it, it was Sue Ellen's jealous sister, Kristen. And at the South Fork Museum next door, JR's gun is just one of the authentic items on display.
We have JR's gun, we have Lucy's wedding dress, we have JR's boot and hat. We also have some of the saddles, Pam, Bobby, JR, and Sue Ellen's. We also have memorabilia about the show, newspaper clippings and articles and all sorts of things. So people can come in here at their own pace and spend as much time as they wish.
I used to love this series. And it was my dream that maybe one day we would be able to visit this place. And but of course, even I couldn't dream that I could meet him, and I would be so lucky to see him.
And how much is all of this worth?
I really don't know how much everything's worth. I'm telling you this, I wouldn't really want to turn my back on anything because it might walk off.
South Fork is a spectacular reminder of the show Dallas, but the series also shot on real locations all over town.
In those days here when we were doing the show, this town was cooking. There was so much wealth. It was like people were printing money.
The good folks of Dallas were kind enough to point out some of the locations from the show. In downtown at the corner of Main and Griffith, you'll find the Ewing building where JR and Bobby ran the family oil empire.
This is JR's office building, actually. I have to say JR was my favorite, because he was always causing trouble.
Down the road in these glittering gold towers, JR's arch rival Cliff Barnes plotted his revenge. But do Dallas businessmen really wear those 10-gallon cowboy hats to work?
Well, it's at home. It comes out on the weekends occasionally.
As for the glamorous Ewing women, there was only one place to shop: Highland Park.
This is Dallas. If you shop anywhere else, you are not in Dallas.
The world wanted to dress like us, especially the women. I used to wear a pocket handkerchief, and I would just take it and I would just flip it in. And I had so many people come up to me, especially women coming up to me saying, you know, my husband wears these handkerchiefs like you do.
And because of the TV show Dallas, the real Dallas became famous all over the world.
I think it was probably one of the best shows, probably worldwide. It sure gave everyone an impression, good or bad, about Dallas.
And those impressions were more often than not forged by the scandalous ways of the Ewing family. And that's what makes a road trip to South Fork fun for so many Dallas fans.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It's a chance to revisit their favorite characters and the places where they fought, cheated, and loved.
What do I think people took away from Dallas, the show? They'll remember all of the characters and this and that and the other, but if you ask them to say honestly, what did you like most about the show? It says, well, it was good fun, right?
Coming up, there's more fun in store when Lucille Ball's kids, Lucy and Desi, take a sentimental trip back to their mother's hometown.
Hello, Jamestown.
Plus, saddle up, partners. It's time to ride the range at the real-life Ponderosa Ranch.
I watched Bonanza. I watched all the other Westerns, too, but Bonanza was always one of my favorites.
That's next on TV Road Trip.
Now that the wedding's over.
Welcome back to our TV Road Trip. We're tracking down places you know from your favorite TV shows. And right now we are in the heart of Hollywood on Cahuenga Boulevard. And in this unassuming neighborhood is one of the most famous houses in America. You've seen it a million times. You recognize it? Well, if you close your eyes, you can almost hear the Fonz saying, "Hey." That's right. This is the Cunningham house from the classic TV series Happy Days. The producers felt it looked just Midwestern enough to pass for Milwaukee. Who knew Milwaukee had palm trees? Well, the next stop on our TV road trip takes us to another famous house, but forget the car. All you'll need is a horse and a decent set of spurs. Yeah! Welcome to the Ponderosa Ranch, the home of one of the longest-running TV series ever, Bonanza. At the peak of the show's 14-year run, half the nation's television sets were tuned in to watch the Cartwright men tame the Wild West. And although Bonanza went off the air in 1973, the ranch in Incline Village, Nevada is still very much here, attracting 250,000 visitors a year.
It's just beautiful, it's gorgeous, and thank God it's still here the way it is.
It's just a 5-minute wagon ride up to the ranch house, but look out! The Ponderosa still has its share of armed bandits.
I'll let you be on your way if the driver there throws me his bag of money. What do you say, driver? Give me that money? Good choice. I'm gonna get out of here. Hey, yo, what? Good job.
Once at the ranch, visitors are treated to a breathtaking view of nearby Lake Tahoe. Bonanza star Lorne Greene, who played Patriarch Ben Cartwright, was so taken with the scenery that he and his wife Nancy took some good advice and bought a vacation home nearby.
I want some place we can really enjoy, and so that's what we did. So we bought a house, and we just never regretted that.
Thanks to the camera platforms, which are still in position, visitors can catch a glimpse of the same vistas that made America fall in love with color television. Here's the meadow where the Cartwright men rode their horses in the famous opening shot. Little Joe was Michael Landon's breakout role. Pernell Roberts played Adam, the brooding eldest son. And of course, Dan Blocker starred as everyone's favorite, the lovable Hoss. Bonanza creator David Dortort wanted his show to break traditional Western stereotypes. The result, Bonanza was heavy on character, light on violence.
It was about how a family lives together, about a father and his sons caring for each other, actually loving each other.
But Nancy Green says that her late husband, Lorne, initially found Ben Cartwright's character to be a bit harsh.
Well, in the very beginning, Lorne was quite unhappy because the first script had him as Ben Cartwright as a Bible-quoting pariah, saying, "Get off my land," and quoting the Bible at people. And it wasn't the idea that Lorne had of Ben Cartwright. And so he basically gradually modeled it after his own father.
The show's family-friendly themes resonated with Mitch Vogel. He joined the cast for the final 2.5 seasons, playing adopted son Jamie. Mitch said that since he came from a broken home, he found comfort on the set.
All of these things that relate to being close-knit family, I remember feeling those first feelings back working on the show Bonanza, because that's how everybody there, not just the actors, but the whole crew and the rest of the cast made me feel.
Today, visitors to the Cartwright home will find a fire blazing in the parlor, a wax figure of Hop Sing whipping up some grub for the boys, the study where Ben conducted the family business, and in keeping with its Hollywood roots, the ranch reveals the secret panels in the wall where the production crew positioned its cameras.
I watched Bonanza. I watched all the other Westerns too, but Bonanza was always one of my favorites. And boy, to be here now, just like all these tourists come here, it is a dream come true.
It's fantastic, but it's fantasy.
The Cartwrights were the fictional owners of the Ponderosa, but in reality, it was actually a working ranch owned by the Anderson family. Royce Anderson was just knee-high when this picture was taken, but he still remembers what it was like to grow up alongside the Cartwrights.
Those pictures with Blocker, because of his immense size, and I think I was 5 and my sister was 2, those are neat things. And little Joe was Michael Landon was a practical joker and always fooling around and making jokes and, catching water snakes and putting them in things at the set.
But those practical jokes never made it into the program. This is the famous image that viewers remember today, the Ponderosa map. Even though the original now hangs in David's home, it was hardly love at first sight.
I looked at it in utter horror and said, how could he do such a thing? And everyone kind of looked at me and said, David, don't you like it? It's beautiful. I said, but it's wrong.
The artist accidentally placed Carson City north of the Ponderosa. In reality, it's to the east. Look closely, and you'll see how David came up with a quick fix.
North is always straight up. On this map, the only map in the world where north is not straight up. And we'll put in the corner there where north is.
Even if the map is wrong, it won't be hard for you to find the Ponderosa Ranch. If the road signs don't grab you, then Cowboy Cal will.
Are you ready? Here we go on the count of 3, a nice easy hop. 1, 2, 3, hop. Look at that.
Cowboy Cal and his horse Easy Rider are one of the many acts performing at the ranch. They're joined by another outlaw answering to the name of Buck Montgomery.
Well, we can only hope, and of course me personally can only hope, that the West never dies.
It's been years since the cameras stopped rolling at the Ponderosa, but the sense of family and camaraderie inspired by the Cartwright clan is a testament to Bonanza's enduring popularity.
Bonanza will be playing for the rest of our lives. It'll never leave.
No, hey, come on, please don't touch that remote. TV Road Trip's coming right back. Trust me. When we return, Cooter and Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane put the pedal to the metal and head for Hazzard County.
Oh, man, this is great.
And later, actress Mary McDonough, who played Erin, journeys back to the real-life Waltons Mountain.
Here, come with me.
Plus, Jimmy Olsen reveals how Superman learned to fly.
He would run, hit the diving board, and leap out over camera.
That's straight ahead on TV Road Trip.
It's wild, it's hot, it's fantastic Florida. From Miami to Palm Beach to the Florida Keys, the Travel Channel's treating you to a little southern exposure in the Sunshine State. So whether you're feeling the thrill of Orlando or exploring the sizzle of South Beach, we'll show you why this is one of the hottest places to be.
It's very decadent. It's exciting.
Fantastic Florida Week starts tomorrow night at 8, only on the Travel Channel.
I can't let old Mr. Hetherington take you away, Red. You need to be free again. Go on now! Get out of here! Please. You have to go.
With a leather interior and the available Honda DVD entertainment system,
I'll never forget you!
it's one of the joys of parenthood.
Sorry, guys. How was dance class?
The Odyssey from Honda.
Aloha! I'm Steve Perillo for Perillo Tours. No trip ever offered in our 53 years has received more accolades than our Hawaiian vacations and honeymoons. You'll love Perillo's fabulous hotels on Oahu, Maui, and Kauai. The elegant dining, the fun, parties, shows, helicopter rides, and lots more. And for 8 to 11 days, you can really hang loose because one low Perillo price covers all. For a free Perillo brochure, see your travel agent or call 1-800-631-1000 now.
Hi, Christopher Knight, a.k.a. Peter Brady, and you're watching TV Road Trip on the Travel Channel.
It's time you expected more from an insurance company. So call Progressive Auto Insurance, and we can give you our low price, plus the rates for up to 3 leading competitors. And that could save you hundreds.
We want you to save money, even if it's not with us.
It's time you expected an easier way to buy car insurance. Because at our website, you can get a quote and buy a policy instantly. In fact, it's so fast and easy to use, we've been rated #1 4 times in a row. It's time you expected faster claim service. At Progressive, our immediate response vehicles can come right to you. They're like a claims office on wheels.
We make getting back on the road fast and easy.
Visit Progressive at the web address on your screen or call us at this number today for fast, friendly service 24 hours a day. We want you to save money, even if it's not with us.
Okay, maybe we're not changing the world, but we are changing the way people buy car insurance.
You can start saving now. Call, click, or visit Progressive today. Progressive, not what you'd expect from an insurance company.
Hey, we're back with more of our TV road trip. Do you recognize this building behind me? That is the historic City Hall right here in downtown Los Angeles. But if you're a baby boomer like myself, you might remember it as the stomping ground for Perry White, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Jimmy I Love You, and that mild-mannered reporter, Clark Kent. Because on the old black and white Superman television series, City Hall doubled as the Daily Planet.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky!
It's a bird. It's a plane.
In 1952, the superhero from the planet Krypton became a superstar when he made his debut on the small screen with matinee idol George Reeves starring in the title role.
No, I don't believe it.
Every week, millions of Americans tuned in to watch the adventures of Superman. Disguised as mild-mannered reporter Clark Kent, Superman and his 2 trusty sidekicks, beautiful Lois Lane and young Jimmy Olsen, saved the city of Metropolis from impending doom. But wait a minute, Metropolis doesn't really exist, right? Wrong! Welcome to Metropolis, Illinois, that is, located on the banks of the Ohio River at the southernmost tip of the Prairie State. Metropolis has been around a lot longer than Superman, but in 1972, the state legislature passed a resolution proclaiming it the official hometown of Superman. The peace-loving citizens of Metropolis wasted no time in making the Man of Steel their favorite son. Today, the superhero's face is plastered everywhere. He's on billboards, buildings, and water towers. Even the local paper changed its name to the Daily Planet.
Kent, I spend half my life attempting to keep track of you, Lois or young Olson. I spend the other half regretting that I spent the first half trying to keep track of you.
But the Man of Steel is actually made of bronze in this town. This 15-foot-high, 2-ton statue sits smack dab in the middle of the town square. But an even bigger tribute is paid to this superhero every summer. That's when this tiny hamlet of 6,700 attracts fans from all over the world for the largest Superman festival on Earth.
We all came from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Myself, my fiance, and my son, Bradley, and a nephew, Daniel, because we're all Superman fans and we wanted to participate in the Metropolis Superman celebration the weekend.
To get the inside scoop on America's favorite superhero, we dispatched a reporter who spent the better part of 6 seasons trying to keep pace with the elusive stranger from another planet.
Another few seconds and it would have been too late, Superman.
Well, it wasn't, Miss Lane, and that's what counts.
That's right. We've brought along Noelle Neal, the real Lois Lane from the hit TV series. It's been 50 years since Noelle was on the set, but she jumped at the opportunity to step back in time and fondly recall her days playing Lois Lane.
Oh, hi, thank you.
Well, if I walk through Metropolis and people, stop you and say, "Oh, you're Lois Lane," and it gives you a good feeling, sort of that you've done something that people remember and like.
I think you're the greatest.
Yeah,
I love you. I love you so much.
Love your hair.
Thanks.
Now that Lois Lane is back in Metropolis, everybody wants to get in on the act.
Yes, the Superman, strange visitor from another planet, came to Earth to power and visibility, far beyond those of mortal men.
Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers.
Been still in his bare hands, and who's guy's Clark Kent? Mom and I am a reporter for Great Metropolitan newspaper.
Fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
And now the amazing adventures of Superman.
We also caught up with Noelle's co-star, Jack Larson, who played Cub reporter Jimmy Olsen, my favorite.
Cheapers, I'll go along with that. Good. How about you, Lois?
Both Jack and Noelle never dreamed that their little TV series would become such a huge American classic.
What they said to me was, this show may never go on the air. No one may see it. So just do it, kid, and take the money and run.
We're so identified with the characters. We're typed, so to speak. I'll be Lois Lane, and as I say to Jack, yes, they're going to have Jimmy Olsen on your tombstone.
If superfans like Jim Hambrick have their way, the legend of Superman will live on forever.
These items are real hard to get because
Jim is one of the masterminds behind the festival and the owner of the Super Museum.
I've been collecting Superman for about over 40 years, 1959, and this is what started it all, Lunchbox. And I got that when I was 5 years old for my birthday, and the madness continues.
That lunchbox is now the rarest of all children's lunchboxes, estimated to be worth $7,000. From the original costume that George Reeves wore, to the very first copies of the 1938 comic book, to an out-of-this-world kryptonite collection, Jim lays claim to more than 75,000 items, enough to fill 5 big rig trucks. If you're a Superman fan too, then you'll want to check out what's going on over at the Chamber of Commerce. During the festival, crowds line up around the block for a chance to meet their favorite Superman stars. Joining Noelle to greet fans and sign autographs is Valerie Perrine, who played Miss Tessmacher in the Superman movies.
Welcome.
Meanwhile, back in the town square, a Superman look-alike contest is underway.
I think that my chances of winning are better than average because not only do I look like him, we're both the exact same height and so forth. My costume is basically based on his costume.
That may be, but he's going to have a hard time beating this guy. For this super occasion, the Metropolis Chamber of Commerce has invited a special guest to fly into America's heartland for the Superman extravaganza. No, it's not the real Superman. This is Hollywood actor Scott Cranford.
Can Superman get a handshake?
Once a year, he gets the role of a lifetime, the chance to play the Man of Steel in person.
I think everybody should come to Metropolis. You might just get a chance to meet Superman.
But what's the #1 superpower everyone wishes they had?
It's a bird! It's a plane!
You guessed it.
That's the one thing I always dreamed about as a kid was putting the towel around my neck with a safety pin and getting out the crayon and making an S and pinning it on the back and jumping off a second-story garage roofs and so forth. I remember that as a kid.
But in 1952, flying around Metropolis was harder than it looked. Computerized special effects hadn't been invented yet. So how did they pull it off? Here's the secret.
Flying was very difficult. They tried wires at first until they dropped them from about 12 feet, and he said, Superman flies, but George Reeves doesn't.
George wouldn't be on wires. He was athletic, and we would have a diving board in the floor, and after he would save Jimmy and he would go out through a window or something, he would run, hit the diving board, and leap out over camera. They would put bleachers over the camera with mattress pads, and he would do a tuck over camera.
So does a town like the real Metropolis ever need Superman?
Having Superman for backup would probably be like the ultimate backup. I guess the only time that wouldn't be good to call Superman for backup is if we intercepted a shipment of kryptonite.
The things I can walk into with my eyes wide open.
Noel's stroll down memory lane has come to an end. But thanks to the people of Metropolis, the adventures of Superman is sure to live on for generations to come.
I think Superman has become an icon because so many people loved the show and everybody grew up with us.
Bye now.
Don't go away, because faster than a speeding bullet, we'll be back with more TV Road Trip. We're going to find the real Melrose Place, the Governor's Mansion on Benson, and the Brady Bunch house. They're all hidden away here in LA, and we are going to find them. Coming up, Lucy's biggest fans gather to celebrate the Queen of Comedy.
Vitamin Benjamin. Vitamin Benjamin.
Vitamin Benjamin.
Then, Peter Brady hops behind the wheel for a trip back to the Brady house.
You know, they say you can never go home. Watch me.
Plus, we'll trek through the mountains that doubled for war-torn Korea in MASH. And we'll take a wild ride in the General Lee when Cooter returns to Hazzard County.
Hey, y'all, I'm Ben Jones, Cooter from the Dukes of Hazzard. Want you to watch TV Road Trip on the Travel Channel. You'll find out where the Dukes of Hazzard all began.
He was never supposed to be king, but his father's dying wish changed his life forever. Monday, April 29th, in a Travel Channel exclusive, the King of Jordan takes you on a tour of his homeland. Come along as this daring young monarch reveals an unknown side of his country, his family, and himself. Jordan, the Royal Tour, a special Travel Channel secret. Monday, April 29th, exclusively on the Travel Channel.
With a magic third-row seat and a quadruple 5-star safety rating. It's one of the joys of parenthood.
You think we have everything?
Yeah, we'll only be gone an hour.
The Odyssey from Honda.
After extensive research, we've concluded that Orbitz is the travel site with the most low fares. Aloha. Visit Planet Earth via Orbitz.com from the world's leading airline.
Go where you want, when you want, how you want, for less. With Orbitz, the choice is yours, because only Orbitz offers the most low fares available in one place. Visit Orbitz.com today for the most low fares to planet Earth.
Now, there's one name to know when you're decorating your home: American Blind and Wallpaper Factory. With more products and a new website, it's never been easier. We've been around for over 50 years, offering the world's largest selection of blinds and wallpaper. Now we offer that same personal service on our website. You'll discover an unbelievable selection of wallpaper, blinds, lamps, rugs, decorating accessories, and more. All that savings you won't find anywhere else. Visit us now at DecorateToday.com or call to get this free catalog. It's filled with decorating tips, a free blind and wallpaper measuring guide, and savings up to 85% off. UPS shipping is free, and most orders go out in 72 hours. For the best selection, prices, and service on all the brand names you're looking for, call today or visit us at DecorateToday.com, where we make decorating so easy, it's fun.
For your free catalog, call 1-800-346-0605 or visit us at DecorateToday.com. That's 1-800-346-0605.
Hi, Christopher Knight. You may know me as Peter Brady. Well, I'm standing outside the real Brady house. Don't go away, because TV Road Trip continues next on the Travel Channel.
This May, make sure you're in the loop, because the Travel Channel's putting a new spin on the family vacation. There's ups, downs, twists, and turns. Travel Channel's Great Family Vacations Week starts
Welcome back to TV Road Trip, where we travel around the country searching out actual locations from your favorite TV shows. Now, what do you think of when I say, the plane, the plane? Of course, you think of Fantasy Island. Hidden away deep in the Los Angeles Arboretum is a house that any TV fan would instantly recognize. Known as the Queen Anne Cottage, it was built in the 1880s and has appeared in over 200 movies and TV shows. But of course, the cottage most famously doubled as the place where the mysterious Mr. Rourke awaited his visitors to Fantasy Island. Our next stop on our TV road trip takes us 2,200 miles to the Deep South, the home of Luke and Bo, otherwise known as the Dukes of Hazzard. In 1979, two good old boys roared into America's living rooms, driving a souped-up '69 Charger. Their lawless antics and down-home humor
Sure hope you like scrambled eggs.
made the Dukes of Hazzard the breakthrough show of the year. The series featured a colorful cast of backwoods characters, including James Best as the bumbling sheriff, Roscoe P. Coltrane, and Ben Jones as Cooter, the wily mechanic who kept the famous car, the General Lee, running one step ahead of the law. We caught up with these retired adversaries at Ben's home in rural Virginia.
First of all, we had a magic car that could fly. We had two very handsome, a blonde and a brunette young men, and you had Cooter, good old boy, and you had Roscoe and Boss Hogg. We had a girl that would stop your heart in a pair of shorts.
But it was more than sex appeal that kept audiences coming back each week.
This show has an old-fashioned appeal. A family show with family values. The good guys always win, and nobody really gets hurt. And the best action ever filmed.
Audiences also took a liking to another star on the show, Catherine Bach, who played Daisy Duke.
Make a bulldog break his chain. Make a freight train go up a dirt road.
Let's do it.
Make the preacher drop his Bible. I'm telling you, that girl.
Yeah,
Catherine Bach was
she
just
gave you a quiver in your liver.
Yeah.
You walk into those
That's right.
with those little shorts and oh gosh darn, that was nice.
Ah, Daisy Duke, the sweetheart of Hazzard County. But wait a minute, where is Hazzard County anyway? To help us find out, we put Ben behind the wheel of his old friend, the General Lee, and headed for Georgia. He led us to a place 45 minutes east of Atlanta, Newton County, which doubled for Hazzard County in the show.
This is Covington, Georgia. Anybody who saw the first 5 episodes of the Dukes of Hazzard will recognize the Hazzard County Courthouse. We filmed here in the fall of 1978, and the show came on in January of '79. And we're here on the Courthouse Square, which was also the scene of a whole lot of chasing around. And of course, that was the headquarters of Boss Hogg and Roscoe P. Coltrane. And this town was perfect setting.
In fact, they even shot all of the stunts right here on location. Remember this car jump that opened each episode?
We're here on the beautiful campus of Oxford College, which is part of Emory University. In fact, Emory University started here. This was the birthplace of it in 1836. But it's also the birthplace of one of the greatest jumps you ever saw. In the title shots of the Dukes of Hazzard, you see the general take off right about here and just fly right through the air. Just two good old boys having some fun. Happened right here almost 23 years ago.
Even though it's been a long time, Ben had no trouble finding Cooter's old stomping grounds.
All right. Yeah, this old place ain't changed a bit. The original Cooter's junkyard. This is where Cooter lived, in the back of a truck or something. He'd clearly been raised by wolves. And that's the original Cooter's garage right there. I'm telling you, some of these cars were here 23 years ago. Oh man, this is great. Hubcap City. The rural South has a lot to do with cars. Bo and Luke, of course, were a couple of country boys that loved to run the dirt tracks on the weekends. And you had to have yourself some good hubcaps, too.
Heading a few miles down Flat Rock Road, Ben spots another popular location from the series.
Back here's the Boar's Nest. In the fall of 1978, this was a center of Boss Hogg's operation. A typical roadhouse, a honky-tonk hangout of the Duke boys and all their friends, and it's where Daisy Duke worked. For years after the Dukes filmed here, it looked exactly like the Boar's Nest that we built in California, because on the Burbank lot and out beyond there, we built exact replicas of the structures that we used here. So I used to live about a mile up the road. And I'll tell you, a lot of people have had a lot of good times in that joint.
Much to Ben's disappointment, the show moved to the Warner Brothers backlot in Burbank, California after the first 5 episodes.
For 4 years, every day I went in and argued to get the show back to Georgia. And after 4 years, I figured, you know, I think I'm just being a pain, but I don't think they're really listening to me. And they go, oh yeah, sure, well, maybe, you know. And so I commuted. I lived in Georgia. And, you know, that was my home for 25 years and still my home in my heart.
But don't despair. You won't have to travel to Georgia or California to find others who share your love for Hazzard County. TV road trippers from far and wide are speeding to Ben's hometown of Sperryville, Virginia, where he's opened up Cooter's Place, a roadside shop and gathering site for Hazzard fans.
I think it's because a lot of superstars from Dukes of Hazzard comes here a lot. It's actually pretty fun. Yeah. It's cool.
I had all this stuff from the show and discovered that, you know, the new generation of kids loves the show as much as their parents did, and they needed a place like that. You know, 20 years ago, kids could go into Walmart and had a whole wall of Dukes of Hazzard stuff, and now we're it. And people flock from all over the world. And the real reason is I have a great time doing it.
It's really nice to be in a position where the fans can come and meet us and we can meet them, and in a rural atmosphere, and they feel at home at Cooter's Place, you know what I'm saying? And I feel at home at Cooter's Place.
Hundreds of visitors are here today for a guest appearance by the Duke boys' arch nemesis, Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yeah, Roscoe P. Coltrane calling you a little fat, but you got your ears on?
I've had so many fan letters from people saying that they've gone into the police work because of Roscoe P. Coltrane. They grew up with that character. They said it looked like he was having so much fun and everything that they became policemen. That's the truth.
You got to be good old boys and mind your folks and do your homework, mind your teachers, so you won't turn out like Roscoe P. Coltrane. You know what I'm saying?
On hand as well are a fleet of 1969 Dodge Chargers. Their owners are all members of the General Lee fan club.
Another fantastic ride in the General Lee. I actually caught a glimpse of a General Lee when I was about 8 years old one time, and it just set me on fire, you know, and I swore that day I would have one, you know.
This is the most popular TV star car in the world. You and I can paint a station wagon orange and put an 0 and 1 on it, and everybody's going to know it's the General Lee.
So where is the original General Lee?
Hey, y'all, listen, don't tell anybody. Because it's a secret. But over the years of filming the Dukes of Hazzard, did you know that we use 369 Dodge Chargers to play one General Lee?
I didn't know that.
A lot has changed since the Dukes of Hazzard first hit the airwaves, but by the looks of things down here at Cooter's place, the Dukes of Hazzard is still running strong, with plenty of gas left in the tank.
A show that's held up like ours has for 23 years, I think it's because the people doing it, all of us involved, really cared about what we were doing, and we cared about our audience. So it's going to be around after we're gone, and we know that, and we're proud of that.
You may not know this, but Cooter, Ben Jones, was actually a U.S. congressman in the 1980s before he lost his re-election bid to somebody else from Georgia, a fella called Newt. From the junkyard to Washington, that's a bigger jump than the General Lee ever made, because it's a car. But seriously, here's a look at what's up ahead on TV Road Trip. Travel to the Big Apple to meet TV legend Joyce Randolph, Trixie from The Honeymooners.
It was absolutely live, and we had very few rehearsals.
Then we'll celebrate 50 years of I Love Lucy with her kids, Lucy and Desi Jr.
So where Mom and Dad met on Too Many Girls. They met on a movie, actually.
But next, it's a carefully hidden secret, but we'll take you to the real-life location that was home to the funniest doctors in TV history.
I'm Jeff Maxwell, who played Private Igor on MASH, and you're watching TV Road Trip on the Travel Channel.
If you recognize this place from television, then you're crazy. It hasn't been used in any shows. I just like their hot dogs. So while I stop here for lunch, we've got an old friend who's going to show you some more sights from right here in Hollywood. Could I see your wine list, please?
I'm Christopher Knight. I used to play Peter Brady on the Brady Bunch. Now buckle up. We've got a lot of ground to cover.
First stop, the trendy Melrose District, the setting of the hit series Melrose Place. But you won't find the famous apartment building on Melrose Place. It's actually on Greenwood Place, 5 miles away. I guess the title Greenwood Place just didn't have the right ring to it. You want to go inside and see the famous Melrose swimming pool? Well, you can't. It was never there. The pool was actually shot at a soundstage miles away. I guess it's fitting. Melrose Place was always about lies and deception. Now let's drive to the mountains north of the city, to the TV home of Brenda and Brandon Walsh from Beverly Hills 90210. Only the zip code of this residence isn't quite as ritzy. And it's actually 91001, and it's in the hills of Altadena, an hour's drive north of the real Beverly Hills. Just down the hill from Altadena lies Pasadena, home of the Rose Bowl. Here you'll find other famous abodes from TV's past, including the suburban tract house from the classic series Dennis the Menace. And on Oakland Avenue, the elaborate mansion that doubles as the governor's residence in the 80s series Benson, starring Robert Guillaume. And Benson was a spin-off of what classic show? Soap. Of course, nearby downtown LA has also been immortalized in television history, and some of the buildings even played themselves.
Downtown was most famously the home of Bill Gannon and Joe Friday, those hard-boiled detectives from Dragnet. And they worked out of Parker Center, which is, to this day, the real-life home of the LAPD. And they wanted just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts.
Next, let's go to the home of TV's classic all-American family, the Nelsons, as in Ozzie and Harriet Nelson. Some of you may not know this, but the TV Nelsons were a real family, and that Ozzie sure knew how to stretch a buck. As producer of the show, he shot the outside of his own home on Camino Pomero Drive instead of paying to use someone else's. Of course, the inside was shot in a studio, so it's pretty weird to imagine the Nelsons leaving here in the morning to go play themselves on TV in a fake house that looked just like theirs.
want to go where everybody knows your name? If you do, you won't be going to a bar. After all these years, you'll be going to a museum.
This is the Hollywood Entertainment Museum here on Hollywood Boulevard near the famous Chinese Theater. It's the retirement home of the most recognizable tavern in TV history. Cheers! Yes, the entire original bar set is here, reconstructed right down to the last detail, from the cigar store Indian to the beer taps to the decorations on the wall. Phyllis Caskey is the museum's president. She says that her guests are far more satisfied than those who visit the real Boston bar, where the show's exteriors were filmed.
Anyone who's been to Boston and seen what Boston refers to as the real Cheers bar, they say this is much better. It's bigger, and it's bigger than they imagined.
Okay, now how's this for a surreal experience? Just a short walk down the hall from Cheers, and we're transported from the Boston pub to a spaceship in the distant future. The museum is home to the original bridge of the starship Enterprise from Star Trek: The Next Generation. And it's all here. The illuminated control panels, the authentic officers' chairs, even the transporter room.
When people come to the museum, they don't know what to expect. And they've never been able to get up close and personal to see authentic sets. Then when you walk in here, it's like, you know, nirvana.
Now let's beam ourselves out of the world of sitcoms and sci-fis and head out to the beach. Back in the 70s, this Malibu beachfront was home to one of TV's most eccentric detectives. Now, it's hard to picture today, but the parking lot of the Sand Castle restaurant was once the place where Private Eye Jim Rockford parked his ramshackle little trailer home in the Rockford Files. Just a short drive down the Pacific Coast Highway, we find another celebrated beachfront location, Will Rogers State Beach, one of my favorites. Yeah! It's home of the very buff, the very bronze lifeguards of Baywatch. And you know, it's hard to save lives when you're always running in slow motion. Here in Malibu, you'll find some of the most expensive real estate in California. And if you look hard enough, TV fans, you'll find something else as well, like 1950s Korea. Recognize these hills? These are the mountains of Malibu Creek State Park, which once doubled for war-torn Korea and the home of Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, known as MASH.
Now, the ranch is real Mother Nature. The ranch isn't a set. There were tents and sets out there, but the ranch is real, so it didn't care about production schedules. In the morning, it was freezing cold. We'd have to be out there about 5 o'clock in the morning. So from 5 until about 11, it was freezing cold. From 12 until 5, it was hotter than heck. And you just sweat your brains out all day long.
From the park's entrance, it's a grueling 2.5-mile hike until you reach the MASH site. For die-hard fans, though, it's worth every step because you'll find a pair of rusted-out old vehicles left over from the filming, as well as a mound of earth, which once was the helicopter landing pad.
You know, they say you can never go home. Watch me. We're on a quiet street here in Studio City, right over the hill from Hollywood. And this is where I grew up, or where Peter grew up, and where my TV family, the Bradys, live. Looks a little different 30 years later, doesn't it? Not like me. Listen, thank you very much for joining me on TV Road Trip Tour of Hollywood. It's been a blast, but if you'll excuse me. Mom! Alice! I'm home! Got laundry again!
When we come back, take a road trip to Schuyler, Virginia, home of the real Waltons Mountain, with Erin Walton herself, Mary McDonough.
And it's so close to the one we had on the show.
And if you love Lucy like we love Lucy, then you'll love this heartfelt salute to the Queen of Comedy.
Hi, I'm Desi Arnaz, and you're watching TV Road Trip on the Travel Channel.
TV Road.
Hi, we're back with more of our TV road trip. You know, whether she was popping chocolates, stomping grapes, or peddling Vitamita Vegemin, Lucille Ball always kept us laughing. I Love Lucy was a smash hit for 6 seasons, beginning in 1951. And thanks to reruns, which, by the way, Lucy and Desi pioneered, she's still attracting generations of new fans.
We love Lucy. What else can you say?
Well, if you love Lucy like they love Lucy, then you need to get on the road and head to Jamestown, New York. It's the lovable redhead's hometown, and every summer, they honor her memory with the annual Lucy Desi Days celebration.
Today, we join with the Lucy Desi Museum in celebrating the 90th anniversary of the birth of Jamestown's own Lucille Ball, the top female entertainer of the 20th century.
Since this year marks the 50th anniversary of I Love Lucy, Jamestown has decided to pull out all the stops. As special guests, they've invited Lucy's children, Desi and Lucy.
She'd be very proud to see that her hometown, that kicked her out virtually for being a little bit too big for the room, now, you know, is proud enough to have a museum and Lucy Days and Desi Days and birthday celebrations and whatever.
This is when they were back here with my grandmother.
This is Desi's first trip ever to his mother's hometown, and he has decided to kick it off at the Lucy Desi Museum.
This is where Mom and Dad met on Too Many Girls. They met on a movie, actually.
Desi has been humbled by the outpouring of affection for his mother by fans old and young.
These kids who know all of the shows by heart, and what they're really sharing with me is how much they love my mother. So that's what I'm experiencing when I'm here with the fans.
Rick Wyman is the museum's curator, as well as an all-around Lucy buff.
In the 5 years that we've been open, we've had people from 36 countries visit. More than 70,000 people have found Jamestown, New York, a little bit off the beaten path, but they make it a point to find Jamestown so they can celebrate Lucille Ball's memory with us.
The museum tells of the bittersweet story of the love affair between Lucy and Desi. It accounts how they became the first couple of comedy, as well as the fortunes that came with fame.
She's just a great person. She's lovely. She is a great performer. I wish I would have, like, just once in a lifetime got a chance to meet her.
There's also a guest book where fans can leave their own I Love Lucys.
She was extremely proud and very, very, very grateful were the words that she used all the time for the fans and the people that put them there and kept them there all those years.
So how does a girl from a little town in western New York grow up to be one of the biggest stars of the 20th century? Even before she got to Hollywood, Lucille Desiree Ball was turning heads.
She was the first woman in Jamestown to wear slacks. She ordered them from a catalog because she couldn't buy them in town. She was a trendsetter. And if you take a look at some of the photographs we have in the archives, she truly was ahead of her time.
For Lucy, the road to stardom began here at 69 Stewart Street. This is the house where she was born. And not far away on what is now Lucy Lane is where she grew up. Lucy also spent many Saturday afternoons down here on 3rd Street, visiting vaudeville houses with her grandfather.
She was fascinated by someone on stage that could bring a tear to the eye and in the next breath make someone laugh. I mean, she saw that was really a powerful gift, and she wanted to pursue that.
But the people of Jamestown weren't sure what to make of Lucy's rebellious nature.
You know, she never even finished high school, and she used to get into all sorts of trouble, and the type of stuff that she wanted to do and make believe and do impersonations and be in the theater and all that was just frowned upon in this town.
But over time, Lucy and Jamestown grew to appreciate one another.
People would tell about going dancing with her at school, you know, and because they knew her, you know, and they knew she'd become big, you know, they remember every little thing they did with her.
Today, few people realize that Lucy was a big star long before she hit the small screen.
A lot of people don't remember her for the beauty. I mean, they don't know that she was a leading lady, that she did 79 motion pictures, you know, that she was a model in New York City. They remember her best for, you know, goofy Lucy.
When it comes to picking their favorite episode of Goofy Lucy, most fans agree.
Vitamina Vegemin.
Vitamina Vegemin. Vitamin Vegemin.
Vitamina Vegemin.
Vitamin Vegemin. Never mind.
You won't find Mita Vitagegemin on the auction block at the Lucy Day celebration, but bring your cash anyway, because you might be able to snap up some of Desi's old records. A Lucy board game, videos, books, and even a cookie jar showing the gang heading to California.
Hello, Jamestown!
Fans lucky enough to be in Jamestown for this year's celebration shared a priceless moment when Desi and Lucy performed on the same stage that their mother appeared on when she was only a teenager. Incredibly, after 50 years, I Love Lucy is still on the air, and her children can't help but feel that somehow their parents are with them in celebrating the success.
She's very grateful to her fans, and I'm sure she is. I don't even wonder. I know that they see, and I know that they're probably extremely proud and, you know, celebrating in their own way their 50th.
When we come back, Earl Hamner recalls the small town that inspired him to create the Waltons.
We loved Waltons Mountain and felt it was our own.
But next, we cruise on into the Big Apple to find favorite spots from the hit series Seinfeld. And just wait till you meet our tour guide.
Hi, this is Kenny Kramer, The Real Kramer, and you're watching the TV Road Trip on the Travel Channel.
You may not know this, but television was first introduced to the public at the 1939 World's Fair in New York City. Since then, hundreds of TV shows have been set in the Big Apple. And the most popular of them all is the show about nothing, Seinfeld. So we found the one guy who knows absolutely everything about the show about nothing. It's Kramer.
Kenny Kramer, that is. The real-life inspiration for the hipster doofus Cosmo Kramer on the hit TV series. This self-styled entrepreneur once lived across the hall from Seinfeld's creator, Larry David.
Before Larry ever put a pen to paper, he comes and asks permission. Kramer, the pilot I'm writing with Seinfeld, I want to base a character on you and call him Kramer. Is that okay? And I say, certainly it's okay, as long as I get to play Kramer. And he says, you can't be Kramer. And I say, but I am Kramer.
Kramer didn't get the part, but in the wake of the show's success, Kenny did find a new role for himself as CEO and MC of Kramer's reality tour.
Seinfeld gave me a whole career here. I've turned this little fluke of having a character based on me into an industry. And so I travel to theaters and colleges and do stage versions of the tour. And of course, I do the tour in New York on the weekends. And I enjoy it. That's why I do it.
Kenny's tour hits all of the major Seinfeld landmarks, including Tom's Restaurant, the diner with a huge neon sign that was renamed Monk's Cafe on the show.
No potatoes on that over.
Waitress Mary Curtis says she feels a barrage of questions from her customers, and very rarely do they have anything to do with the food.
Is this Seinfeld's restaurant? Of course, yes. Where did he sit? What does he have? How is he in person and everything? But they all want to sit in the same seat that Jerry sat in. And of course, that's the number 7 table. We have a couple of other people here now, but this is the famous table where Jerry and Elaine and all the gang from Monk's Cafe sit when they come to visit us. You come on over to 112th Street, Broadway, come eat with us, and we'll see if we can't get you a chance to sit at this table.
If you're looking for the film set of the cafe, you'll have to head over to Queens, where it's on display at the American Museum of the Moving Image.
When the show went off the air, we were contacted by Castle Rock, who produced Seinfeld, and they were looking for a venue here in New York City to put the set on display.
The museum has paid great attention to detail, right down to recreating Monk's misspelled menu board. Anyone up for a roast beef sandwich? Back on Kramer's reality tour, the talk isn't about sandwiches, but soup.
The writers used to come here for lunch. In fact, because this guy runs this place like a mental case, like a tyrant, they gave him that nickname. They said, what are you going to do about lunch today? And I thought I'd go up to the soup Nazi.
And apparently any diner at Al Yagena's Soup Kitchen International should refrain from uttering the word Seinfeld or, it's no soup for you. Kenny Kramer is determined to squeeze every last dollar out of his association with Seinfeld, as well he should. Before the show hit Nielsen Gold, Kenny reportedly sold the rights to his character for a measly $1,000.
Well, you know, this Kramer character became an international icon, and the character was based on me, and it's famous all over the world. And I figured if I don't cash in on this, I'm stupid. It's the American way.
But in New York, Kramer's tour isn't the only show in town.
We're going to see the Jeffersons building, the Odd Couple building, the Nanny Townhouse, and the Different Strokes building.
Georgette Blau is the creator of On Location Tours, a guided expedition of Gotham's TV hotspots.
I came on the tour to see where Friends is filmed.
So we'll hop out here and take a look at the Friends building.
Can you picture Rachel and Chandler up on the 3rd floor? Take our word for it, this apartment building at 90 Bedford Street in Greenwich Village is the home for NBC's hit series, Friends.
By the way, I don't know where the ugly naked guy lives.
I love Friends. I'm very much a Friends fan.
In real life, many of these posh apartments would be way too expensive for the TV characters who supposedly live in them. According to Georgette, the creators of The Cosby Show actually changed the Huxtables' professions so they could realistically afford an upscale Brooklyn Heights brownstone.
On the original show proposal, the mother was supposed to be a plumber, and the father was supposed to be a limo driver, and they came here and found this place and said, too expensive, so they made them into a lawyer and a doctor.
Can you guess who lived at this famous TV house? None other than America's favorite cantankerous couple, Archie and Edith Bunker. The house scene in the opening credits of All in the Family is here at 8970 Cooper Avenue in Queens. To find it, just look for the graveyard across the street. At the next stop, fans get the chance to pay homage to another TV legend, Jackie Gleason, star of The Honeymooners. His statue graces the New York Port Authority. Fans of the show might recall that the brash and belligerent Ralph Cramden drove bus number 2969, which is still intact at the Jackie Gleason Depot in Brooklyn. As an added bonus, we surprised the tour group by inviting a special guest, actress Joyce Randolph, who played Ed Norton's wife, Trixie.
Hi! Oh, how nice to see all of you. Everybody a Honeymooners fan?
Joyce, what was your favorite episode of The Honeymooners?
Anyone in which I had more than 5 or 6 lines became a favorite, because so often I would start the show with Audrey, we'd set up the premise, Jackie would come in, and I would leave. Not always. Sometimes, I was there for the whole show, and those became my favorites.
Joyce has fun recalling the early days of television.
It was absolutely live, and we had very few rehearsals. Mr. Gleason did not believe in rehearsing, so we really just did it once with him, and then had to go on live that night.
And here's a little trivia for you. On TV, the Cramdens lived at 328 Chauncey Street, which in fact is where Jackie Gleason grew up. You can still find the address in his old neighborhood in Brooklyn.
When I moved here and found out that I live across the street from where the Honeymooners lived at, I was real overwhelmed.
From early gems like the Honeymooners to modern classics like Seinfeld, New York has plenty to offer all you intrepid TV road trippers mapping out your next vacation.
Now, this is Jerry's apartment building in Seinfeld, but you won't find this on Kramer's New York tour. That's because it's just off Wilshire Boulevard right here in Los Angeles. Now, when we come back, I've got a surprise from my TV past. Stay with us, please. I'm not fooling you.
Up next, it's a sentimental look back at TV's favorite family drama.
Take a trip down memory lane with me, Mary McDonough, as I take you to Waltons Mountain on TV Road Trip.
Welcome back to TV Road Trip. Let me ask you something. Did you know that before I played Jack the Tripper on Three's Company, I spent 2.5 years on Waltons Mountain as the Reverend Matthew Fordwick? I didn't think you knew that. They were great years. And that was a great show about a family struggling to survive the trials of the Depression. They were the Waltons.
The Homecoming was the name of the Waltons pilot, which premiered in 1971. These never-before-seen home movies were shot on the set by the father of Cammie Cotler, who played Elizabeth Walton. If you look closely, you'll recognize some of the original cast members, including Judith Norton, who played Mary Ellen, and a young Richard Thomas, who starred as John Boy. The Homecoming was filmed in frigid Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and it aired as a Christmas special about a poor mountain family contending with the hardships of rural life. But the real Waltons Mountain is not in Wyoming. It's actually more than 2,000 miles away in a little town called Schuyler, nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. And for our road trip to Schuyler, we brought along actress Mary McDonough, who played Erin.
Well, we know who you are. You are our dream. We watched you forever.
Wonderful, wonderful. There we go.
Hi. Being here is probably a lot like it was in the 30s. I don't think it's changed that much here. So it makes me think of the show and when I was a kid and what it was really like. The people here are all very friendly and they love family, and there's a sense of family here that you don't get in a large city.
The Waltons was based on the early life of the man in the dark glasses, the show's creator Earl Hamner, Jr. He was also the narrator of each episode. Earl and his 7 brothers and sisters were born and raised in Schuyler, a village with no traffic lights, 1 restaurant, and 4 churches.
I gradually realized that the place that I came from and that my family were unique and interesting and wonderful and a good subject to write about. And they fascinated me, and I've written about them primarily throughout my entire career.
The show perfectly portrayed the small-town values and morals that are still deeply ingrained here.
I wanted the people on my television show to reflect the people that I knew, their kindness, their patriotism, their religious values.
We filmed the Waltons in the 70s, and it was a very difficult time in America. There was a lot of turmoil going on with Vietnam and the war, and so for a family show to come in at that time, no one ever thought it would go.
This is the house you remember from the TV show. But this is the family home in real life. In fact, Earl's brother Jim still lives here.
Neighbors helped neighbors. You shared milk, you shared eggs, you shared chickens. It depicted the true family life and the true feelings of the community.
Up the street from the family home in a converted schoolhouse is the Waltons Mountain Museum. On display are some rare collectibles from the show, as well as recreated rooms from the series.
And here's the real family is coming up, the actual real Hamner family. We were the fake family. So, oh look, that's Earl. That's Earl.
It's rocking chair.
Oh my gosh.
And the army. I think that's on the set.
That is on the set. That's on the front porch of the set. And here I am. No, it's Audrey. That's the real Erin. That's just who I played, but Audrey is the real one. And actually, people think we look quite alike, which I think is true. Do you think he cast us because we look like you guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even Mary McDonough is surprised by the striking similarity between the rooms here and those that were on the Hollywood set.
So we are here in the museum, in the kitchen set, and it's so close to the one we had on the show. It is so, I mean, like the table, we sat at these chairs, and the stove. And this is where we would always chop, so it's really, it looks almost exact. It's very odd.
We're in the living room.
This is the living room. This is our living room where we sat all the time. You guys always sat on the couch? Mm-hmm. But there are so many of you, and most of you sat on the floor.
We were always pinching each other and being mean.
And this is where the radio was, and we would all sit around here, Michael and Ralph. But the real radio is on loan from the Smithsonian. And Earl, they brought it back to this museum from the Smithsonian, right? And you know what my greatest memory about this is? Is Will Gear. Somehow, he always seemed to control that knob more than anybody in the show. And I can see his hands, because he had big, strong hands. And I always remember him turning the knob. Well, here we are, and here we are in John Boy's room. And And it's really Earl Boy's room.
Correct.
This is the bed where we as kids on the show would constantly come in, jump on the bed, bother John Boy, who was sitting there trying to write.
The museum also houses a collection of costumes and keepsakes, which brought back fond memories for Mary.
Here, come with me. I've donated 2 dresses. Actually, my mother donated the other one. You'll see that later. But this is one of my pieces of wardrobe.
But the star of the collection is a dress that Mary wore only once on the show.
When we went to do the episode on the Waltons where I got married, my mom lent her wedding dress because it was of the style in the period. And they couldn't find a great dress. And so my mom said, well, why don't you wear my wedding dress? So I wore this dress in the episode where I got married on the show.
Since the museum opened in 1992, more than 250,000 visitors have made the pilgrimage to Schuyler.
We've had visitors here from all over the world. People from Europe, because the show is still very popular in that part of the world.
Just pulling up and seeing the house and the museum, I was just flooded with emotion because I was finally here. I got to see where this all started. I got to see where Earl grew up, where he shared his life with his brothers and sisters and his wonderful parents that instilled all these values in them. I got to be there. It really became real to me when I got to see all that.
Today's visitors had no idea they'd be meeting an original cast member.
Is this the first time at the museum?
Yes.
What made you come here?
She
I've been wanting to for years.
Yeah,
And I said,
and I was down here
we
for
were this
school.
close, and I said, I'm going to be there.
For the Hamners, Schuyler is rife with memories, some happy, some bittersweet. Traveling down a winding country road, Jim leads Mary to the Hamner family gravesite. The only other cast member to visit this hallowed ground was Richard Thomas.
Oh, your mom. She was so great. And do you know the story that Earl always tells about how he gave her a tea allowance because so many people used to stop by?
Drink tea.
Once the show started, she was giving people tea all the time?
Yeah, she was a great lady.
Now, is this your dad?
My father.
Oh.
He was really a character, a great man.
Earl's grandfather, the man portrayed by the wonderful Will Geer on the show, played an influential role in the creation of the series. He is also laid to rest on Walton's Mountain.
My grandfather used to say that nobody owns a mountain, but growing up in its shadow and living on it and taking nourishment from it, and when we died, we were buried in it. We loved Walton's Mountain and felt it was our own.
For 9 seasons, viewers lived, laughed, and cried with the Waltons. And at the end of every hour, they bid us goodnight in a signature style that was also based on the real-life experience of the Hamners.
I've had friends that spent the night there and said it took about 10 minutes for everybody to finally say goodnight until Earl Sr. finally says, that's enough.
My father would clear his throat very deeply, and that was our clue to shut up and go to bed.
The show may be long gone, but for Mary McDonough, the Waltons family lives on.
My fondest memories are not so much of doing the show, but of what I have because of it. You know, we have this amazing extended family, and I think that's the most special part of it.
As for Earl Hamner, the tranquil gentility and graciousness of a little town called Schuyler continues to enrich his life.
It's something we've lost, but I find it whenever I go back to Walton's Mountain or to my hometown of Schuyler. It's a precious thing to have, and if people go there, I think they will find that same lovely thing.
Well, that's it for TV Road Trip, and I want to thank Ken, Ben, Mary, Noel, and my good friend Jack Larson, and all the wonderful actors from these classic TV shows who have created characters so special that we just can't forget them. And I want to thank you, too. You're a very good traveling companion. Yes, you are. So until we take our next TV road trip together, I'm John Ritter, and I'm glad you came along for the ride.
Want to know a secret? A Travel Channel secret? Like how to win in Vegas, what's hidden under Buckingham Palace, or where to spy on celebrities. Every Monday and Tuesday, Travel Channel Secrets uncovers the exclusive, the unique, and the unknown about the places you thought you knew. Travel Channel Secrets, Monday and Tuesday nights at 9, only on the Travel Channel. Some secrets are just too good to keep.